This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Talk about stepping up. Bang! Bang!
It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Come on. Why is this taking so long? This thing is ancient.
Still using yesterday's tech? Upgrade to the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. Ultra-light, ultra-powerful, and built for serious productivity with Intel Core Ultra processors, blazing speed, and AI-powered performance that keeps up with your business, not the other way around.
Whoa, this thing moves.
Stop hitting snooze on new tech. Win the tech search at Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Unlock AI experiences with the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, so you can work, create, and boost productivity all on one device.
Fox.
Gopher Nation.
Hello, you're on the air.
Gopher Nation.
Speculation.
Gopher Nation.
It's on now. Ready to attack. Golden Gophers football on KFAN this evening, and they take on Buffalo to kick off the 2025 season, the non-conference portion of it or thereabouts. And we have a couple of guests to talk about that and much more with Golden Gophers football. Coming up later, Timberwolves general manager Matt Lloyd joins us here at the State Fair. Also, Ocho Cinco, Chad Johnson, a former wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals and New England Patriots. He'll be on the radio show a couple of hours from now, and he'll be followed by Michael Russo and some Russo radio here at Carousel Park at the State Fair at FM 100.3 KFAN. I'm Paul Allen. Nordo produces, and we begin with Mike Grimm, the play-by-play voice for the Golden Gophers football team.
Fox.
Follow him via the X Machine at Mike Grimm 3, and he also does a podcast and does it quite frequently too, especially this time of the year. It's the Gopher podcast, and the Vox joins us now. Mike Grimm, ladies and gentlemen, play-by-play voice for Ski-U-Ma U. Buffalo here tonight should be a dub, right? And good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. It should be. I think Minnesota's a 17 or a 17.5 point favorite, so you got to like their odds. That said, you're always a little leery about the opener, right? I mean, just to lay some background down, this Buffalo team's out of the MAC, Mid-American Conference. That's a league that once a year somebody beats somebody. Remember, Northern Illinois went into Notre Dame last year and won. Notre Dame ends up in the championship game, but early in the year, Northern Illinois out of that league went into Notre Dame and won. Guess who Northern Illinois played the week after and lost?
Louisiana Lafayette.
Buffalo.
Jeez.
So, look, it can happen, but yes, it should be a W. If all things go to plan, the Gophers should get a win here tonight. But it wouldn't be the biggest shocker in the world if some MAC team went in and beat a Big Ten team. I think there's like 4 or 5 of those matchups this week from the MAC and the Big Ten.
So you have a freshman quarterback who may have some polarizing to him. You have a running back who was quite polarizing as a freshman. Some would say maybe came back to the pack a little bit last year. The top 3 receivers amassing basically nearly 50% of the catches last year are gone. There's all of that. But when I think about it and prep it, I come back to Coy Parrish. And I come back to what he did last year, wondering what he can do differently this year, and is there anything different about him?
Well, the funny thing is he'll actually play early in the year on defense. If you remember, he did not enroll early. Most of the top level guys, and a lot of times the quarterbacks especially, will enroll in January. They skip the second semester of high school so that they get the early start. They'll go through spring ball when they should be in high school. Well, he wanted to play basketball with his guys, and he wanted to run track because he could win a bunch of state titles. As it turned out, unfortunately, he had a bit of an injury and didn't get to run track that year. So he didn't get here till June of last year, so he's really been on campus only about 14 months. So he did not play much on defense. He only started 3 games last year.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah.
He had 5 interceptions, led the Big Ten, second team All-American, first team All Big Ten.
Big interception USC, right?
Yeah, and UCLA. That was a Hail Mary that he got the pick on. But yeah.
Well, the 43-inch vertical in the USC, that was unbelievable.
Yeah, and so he's an unbelievable player. So what can he do better? Start 12 times. Right, that should get him a head start on total numbers, tackles, and all that. And the other thing is, because he was a freshman and because he got to campus a little late, he wasn't involved in all of the packages and sub packages. I got to believe a guy of his skill is going to be involved in just about everything. Like, he can be involved in goal line, he can be involved in 3rd and long, he can be involved in 1st and 10, he can be involved in the run stopping game, the pass coverage game, all of that. So I think he'll play more, and then literally he'll play more because they're going to play him a wide receiver too.
Right, and that's what I was going to get to. Is Travis Hunter would be the obvious first recall. Now, I mean, Travis he's a different beast here, but nevertheless, I hearken to Antoine Randall. Now, Coy Parrish throwing passes, that ain't going to happen unless they get super tricky on offense or run a gadget. But Antoine Randall, man, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, punt returner, kick returner, DB, if Parrish is going to play all over the place and kind of a hybrid defensively, playing, some disguised corner and safety and then some offense and stuff like that, do you think just completely expanding things for him is the right answer?
Yeah, I think nowadays, there's a couple of things. Nowadays, the margin of error is pretty small. So I think coaches are starting to realize you got to have your best players on the field. Like what good is it to have a sub package where you send somebody in on 3rd and 11 when 2 of your best players aren't involved in that sub package? Or on offense, if you have a kid who can play receiver or offer you something, why not use him? And in the name, image, and likeness thing, where now you're having to, and the revenue share where you're having to figure out money and who gets what. You can pay a guy to be a receiver and a safety. That's pretty efficient.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's like, Ohtani. Like, they pay him a lot of money, but if they pay him separately as a hitter and a pitcher, he'd even make more. So there's some efficiency involved, too. So I think that we'll see more of that from other places as well.
Well, that's sweet.
He's not going to be Hunter. He's not going to, Hunter was playing 100 plays a game last year. He was playing every down. Burnsy and I actually had a discussion on the podcast last week about how many reps on offense. I set the over-under at maybe 18 offensive plays
per game.
And I thought that was a good number, and Burnsy just laughed me out of the room, said he's thinking 6 or 8.
Yeah, it's more about it than me, but I'm thinking 18 a game times whatever, that's a lot.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I know this, PJ, every time he's asked about it, says we're not going to just have him as a gadget, and to me that indicates they want to use him a lot. I have no inside info on it.
Does he return punts?
And kicks.
Yeah.
So he's going to be doing everything. Yeah.
Wow. What an exciting player.
There has been so much hype, and of course there's the he's one of us angles, and I think even on top of that he's a small town angle, right? He's from Esco, Minnesota, and I think that people, it's like the state fair. There's just certain things that you feel good about, and you feel good about a small town Minnesota kid coming in and being a superstar for the state branch, the state landmark university.
No doubt.
Getting a fast start on this season is tough when you're having a quarterback effectively make his debut. I know he threw, there was a few plays in the mix last season, but with Drake, this will kind of be the third year in a row that PJ's bringing Max Brosmer into the Big Ten. A year ago, 2 years ago, Callie McManus, I believe, makes his debut. So third time around with Drake. How do you set expectations in these situations for a Gophers team that they're getting these W's, but it's been a slow start to seasons because of the new QB?
Yeah, I think that is the $64,000 question. When I was here with you two guys last year on this very day, that Thursday of the opener, we're all scratching our head like, well, we'll see what Max Brosmer's all about.
Right.
We don't know.
And 2 years ago, it was Drake May.
And 2 years ago, we were playing Drake May, but exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
And it was, and Nathan Callie-McManus was the guy that he had gotten a little run the year before. He had won at Wisconsin as the starter and won the Axe, and so we were all, really high on Nathan Callie-McManus. And then about middle of the season, I think the coaching staff just lost some faith in him 2 seasons ago, and the offense went downhill, and they went 0-4 in November when they were heading into November leading the West Division. And then last year, really second half against Iowa, they kind of had to cut Max loose, let him throw some more. And then the next week against Michigan is really what I would say was the turnaround for him in terms of, okay, this guy's got maybe a better arm than we thought. He always made the right decision. And that's going to be, to me, Nordo and PA, the key to Drake Lindsey. I almost said Drake May. Drake Lindsey, the Gopher quarterback, he's a redshirt freshman. He threw 5 passes last year, 5. He was 4 for 5, so I promise if he keeps that percent up at 80% completion, everyone's going to be happy. One of those 5 was for a touchdown as well. But you've got so if he.
But what about the yard per attempt? Anyway, go ahead.
I think he had 50 yards. No, what was it? Yeah, 50 yards throwing on 5 attempts.
That'll work.
Like that last year. Anyway, point being. Max made great decisions all year. And if it was a decision between, based on pre-snap read and coverage, this is where I got to go, it was usually the safer of the 2 or 3 options, so he always, kept possession, and that's key. So now a redshirt freshman, there's no doubt that Drake Lindsey has the skill set. I've watched him now in practice for almost 20 months. Great arm, shapes it well. The coaches always talk about how he shapes the ball.
All right.
Now the question is, can he figure out how to throw it, where, when, and look at the defense and get a read and put it on target?
All right, this clearly is thick, rich, and compelling with the Gophers in Buffalo this evening on KFAN and the Vox calling the game. That can mean only one thing. This will be an elongated segment. What's that mean, Nordo?
I believe we make it a Steve's Appliances marathon segment.
StevesAppliances.com. Labor Day sale taking place right now where you can save 50 to 60% off some clearance items, which are new items, but they're replacing some things, and the benefit comes back to you with appliances. StevesAppliances.com provides us with marathon segments each and every weekday, 9 to noon.
I don't know why it fascinates me. This is not new to anybody, but in terms of how coaches and recruiting entities, how they find their way to players. And Drake's he's an Arkansas kid. And looking into it, his father, his uncle, his cousin, and I believe his grandfather all played football for Arkansas.
And his sister played basketball at Arkansas.
The entire family are Razorback.
Mm-hmm.
How does he become a Gopher?
The high school stadium, PJ was telling me, the high school stadium they play in is literally across the street. Like, you can see the campus across the street. So it's a good question. He may have been a little bit of a late bloomer. I forget which year, whether it was freshman or sophomore year, he had a knee injury and missed the year. And we're at a point now that these high-level programs, if they don't have a 10th grade quarterback at least really interested or even committed, so you miss your 10th grade year and you're okay your junior year. Gophers liked him in some camps, and Drake was telling me in PA mentioned the Go Gopher podcast. He was on that podcast back in July with me. It was really kind of the first time that people had a chance to hear from him, and he talked about the idea that the injury set him back a little bit, and then the Gophers liked him at a camp. And Greg Harbaugh, I think I'm remembering what he told me right. Greg Harbaugh, they did a Zoom. And he said, hey, we want you to come up and camp in person, and we think we're going to offer you, but we want to see you one more time. And at that point, I think he had offers from like maybe a Mountain West school or two and a bunch of FCS and different things. And then Harbaugh Zoomed him back 3 hours later and said, we don't need to see you. We're going to offer you. Now, his grandpa, Jim Lindsay, was a Viking.
Yeah, in the 60s.
In the 60s. So they would come up from Arkansas to Minnesota to watch Vikings games. Now, obviously, he never saw his grandpa, but he's watched games at U.S. Bank Stadium, Vikings games. So he said in the podcast to me, when the Minnesota Golden Gophers offered him, he's like, this is, I've been to Minnesota a few times only to watch a Vikings game with Grandpa or whoever else. This has to mean something. And so it wasn't long before the connection was so strong that he committed. And then he blew up his senior year. They won the state title. Arkansas got in late, and he said too late. And the rest is history. Here he is. And I'm really excited about it. He really does look like he's got the entire package. He's a good kid. I saw him yesterday a little after practice, and I said, go have some fun tomorrow. And he's like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to. It was great.
Mike Grimm, play-by-play voice for the Golden Gophers.
Fox.
At the State Fair with yours truly, Paul Allen, and mad producer. Well, he's a quarterback, so thus that in a roundabout way makes him the A topic, no matter if he's redshirt freshman or sixth-year senior. But speaking of the six-year vibe, I think the B topic, when I was deep diving this yesterday, the voluminous amount of transfers, and it's it's 2025, so transfer portal, NIL, we're good with all that. We have to be. But the voluminous amount of transfers on whom they're going to count in key spots right out of the gate.
Yeah.
That's big, man.
And I'll tell you, I think Minnesota's probably got fewer transfers than most.
Really?
Count on. That's just where the game's headed. Like basketball, not to get totally off subject, but basketball, like I'm going through the Big Ten schedule last year, and almost every team, like all five starters, were not original guys from that school.
Crazy.
And then the Gophers had, I think most of their starters were transfers as well. That's
Wasn't
the way
that NC State a couple years ago in the tourney?
Yeah.
Their entire team, and they went to the Elite Eight, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they were six deep of guys in their first year at that school.
Yeah, they went to the Final Four, right? A couple.
That may have been that group.
Ago, I think. But you're right. So the offensive line's got some transfers. Defensive line has some depth transfers. The receiving position, they've got Logan Loya from UCLA, and Tracy is from Miami of Ohio. So he's a MAC kid that was first team All MAC last year.
Keep going.
And he's there.
I found one last night. You have not mentioned.
All right, let's hear it.
And he's not going to start, but he's quite intriguing to me. Keep going. Transfers on whom you're going to count.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think off the top of my head. And then there's a kid named A.J. Turner, who's a running back from Marshall.
Yeah, 8.3 yards per
led
carry.
The country.
Right.
Didn't start for Marshall, but he might be Turner the Burner, too. Remember Turner the Burner?
Oh, Michael Turner?
Michael Turner.
Oh, yeah.
From Northern Illinois. Now, was he with the Chargers maybe for a while? Yeah.
And this Turner from Marshall, that was on 104 carries.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not jumping in on third down. Yeah.
He had like 3 or 4, because I think he must be a burner. He had 3 or 4 like 60-yard runs, so that'll crank that yards per carry total up. So he's going to be a guy that I think will be able to spell Darius Taylor some
Cam Davis.
Washington. Yes. So 2 years ago at Washington, he was a beast, and 3 years ago, and then he blew his knee out.
How about out of high school?
Yeah,
I mean, he was
total stud.
Now he's played college football 6 years.
Yeah, this is his 6th. Yeah.
This is his 6th. So which is welcome to 2025.
Well, the quarterback for Buffalo's in year 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the number 1 overall pick in the most recent NFL draft started at Incarnate Word.
Yeah.
And then went to Washington State, and then ended up at Miami.
Yeah.
So welcome to 2025. But this Cam Davis, I don't know if and or how much he's going to play.
Yep, he'll rotate in. I think they'll have 3 running backs.
He'll
be in there. And he had, what was it, like 1,300 yards for the Huskies I got to get my year straight. I think it was 3 years ago. Then he tore his knee up, and then last year
lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, just trying to come back, as you know, and then they've got some other talented players. So
he was the team captain. He was the team captain for the Huskies last year.
And he was their play-by-play guy, Tony Castricone, the second that was announced, texted me and said, "You're going to love Cam Davis." I haven't had a chance to meet Cam in person yet. That usually happens as the season goes on, but he said he's just one of the all-time great people in addition to being a good player. So I'm excited about what he can offer as well. And I do think that Darius Taylor will, he's not going to get he's not going to go 40 carries. They're going to have to make sure that they spell him. And he was 14. Darius, now back to Darius. He was 14 yards shy of 1,000 last year. But he led the Big Ten in receptions. He had 54 catches out of the backfield and a couple of touchdowns, including that game winner at UCLA. So
was he nicked up to start the season last year?
He missed the opener. So this will actually be the first time he really plays any extensive time in his 3 openers. Because if you remember, opener number 1 for him as a true freshman was the Nebraska game 2 years ago, and he got 1 carry. Coaches, what coaches go for sure early because there's so much unknown. They like to go with what's known. So there was a transfer from Western Michigan who started at running back in that game and got most of the carries. And then Darius kind of had his breakout then the next week and became a factor, and then got injured and missed 6 games that freshman year. And then last year was really good, like really, really good out of the backfield. Had opportunities. I think he had 8 or 10 touchdowns last year. So he's no doubt RB1. And then I think this other group, Turner and Davis, will then spell him in certain situations.
Right.
And, who knows, depending on how the season goes and who's healthy and who's not, you could see maybe a couple of running backs playing together because of the pass-catching ability.
Yeah. Well, the reason I went down that road is the fan has learned that PJ likes to chew the clock.
Yeah.
And he likes to win the time of possession, preferably 60% to 40.
Yes.
It can be a 65-35. I mean, that's what he aims for. And it's clearly by design. It's clearly emphasized. Paying attention to the play clock clearly is incredibly important to the quarterback. And he has found that is at times his best way to win. So we roll through those 3 names, but then you get to the offensive line, and there are some newbies there.
Yeah.
And what do you think of that?
Yeah. So the ends go Roy and Ray. So Dylan Ray sounds like a country music singer, right? He's the right tackle, big kid, tall, big. I think about 6'6", 330. Guardsy and I were doing a show on the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Fame anymore, but it's the hallway out there on Media Day in July. And that dude walked by, and we're both like, "Whoa, that's like Paul Bunyan walking by." So he's the right tackle. Left tackle is going to be a redshirt freshman named Nathan Roy, number 1 ranked recruit out of Wisconsin a couple years ago, and the Gophers went in and stole him from the Badgers and everybody else. And so he had a couple of bumps and bruises here, but I believe he'll be the starter at left tackle. And then they have 2 guys back from last year's offensive line that played extensively. Greg Johnson, Prior Lake, probably, in terms of just pure run blocking, might be their best run blocker. He played center last year. He's moved to guard, and Ashton Beers, who played guard last year, has moved to center. And then a kid named Marcellus Marshall will probably play at the other guard position. And hopefully, it's like you like to call it, maybe it's the Minnesota Moving Company, part 2.
The Vox.
Well, and I can't remember whether it was the conversation we got to have with PJ last week, or just kind of reading and preparing for the team in this season. Kind of the idea it doesn't necessarily have, and you mentioned Dylan Ray, but other than that, really doesn't have the Faalele size.
Right.
Might not have maybe some of the natural
Ursary
and skill of an Ariante Ursary, who is now in the NFL. Yeah. But they love overall the talent of this group.
They do.
It does feel. Is there any dice roll to this in terms of got to stay healthy, guys? There's a lot of projections associated with this group that putting Johnson to guard, Beers to center, et cetera, that this just has to work, and we believe that it will.
Yeah, I think they have a good enough track record now with their O-line that you just got to trust the process. The O-line last year wasn't great at run blocking. They pass protected pretty well. And the one thing I'll say, and I don't know why, is that they have gotten better as the season goes on almost every year. Brian Callahan does a great job. I watch him at practice, and he's got, the routine down. He knows what he's doing. So I have faith in him. By the way, the Colin Ray's a transfer from Kentucky. He's got multiple starts in the SEC, so he's not going to be intimidated.
He's not new to the mix.
Coming in here. Marcellus Marshall is a transfer from Central Florida, so Big 12 country. So they've got some Power 4 starts. Those are 2 transfers. I didn't mention where they came from. So 2 transfers will be starting up there. They've got a couple. They've got another Washington transfer that's an offensive lineman that might rotate into the mix. He's 340. He's a big kid. Tafai is his last name. So I think we just got to trust the process. If there's a concern to me, it's early in the year when teams run the stunts and the blitzes and the communication that has to happen, because one messed up read, fumble, and it can change the outcome of a game. So, and frankly, they've had some issues early in games, early in the season with some of that. So hopefully they've got that all sealed up. The communication's good, but I trust the process. I think this will be a good offensive line.
The Golden Gopher football team debuts this evening. Takes on Buffalo at Huntington Bank Stadium. 7 o'clock for that boom. Mike Grimm on play-by-play at FM 100.3 KFAN. PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team, joins the 9 to noon radio show every Monday during the course of the non-conference and Big Ten season. We're going to head to the defense and maybe chat a little bit about the adversary this evening when we return to the State Fair. Mike Grimm, play-by-play voice for the Golden Gophers, with yours truly, Paul Allen, and producer Nordo on.
Life moves fast. A new home, a new baby, a new chapter. But without an estate plan, your future's still vulnerable. With Trust and Will, you can name guardians, start a trust, create healthcare directives, and more. All online in about an hour. It's attorney-designed, state-specific, and built to protect what you love. Plans start at just $199, and every plan is safe, secure, and kept completely private. From families with young kids to adults caring for aging parents, Trust and Will makes it simple to take control, without a law office, paperwork stress, or court delays. Go to trustandwill.com and use code RADIO to save 20%. Start your plan today. Don't wait for life to force your hand. Estate planning is one of the smartest, most loving things you can do. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. See website for details.
Trust and Will.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Anyone else feeling hungry? Because Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You could stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, mozzarella sticks and marinara, or brew pub pretzels with white cheddar beer cheese. Or you could spice things up and try some unexpected combinations like dipping chicken wonton tacos in their honey Dijon mustard. The choice is yours. The Ultimate Trio is the perfect way to hit all your cravings in one plate and turn appetizers into an entree. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. That's eating good in the neighborhood.
Talk about stepping up.
It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
In the heat of battle, your squad relies on you. Don't let them down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Dominate every match with next-level speed, seamless streaming, and performance that won't quit. And push your gameplay beyond limits with Intel Core Ultra processors. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel Inside. Maximize your edge by shopping at Lenovo.com during their back-to-school sale. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
KFAN.
FAN.
back to the State Fair and the 9 to noon experience. Those of you in the Besher and Spence fan stands, thank you for stopping by. It's Paul Allen with producer Nordo. The musical selections have been crafted by Adam Daniel, and Mike Grimm, play-by-play voice for the Golden Gophers football team, is our first guest, with Sky Yuma taking on Buffalo this evening at 7 o'clock. Bow Hunting Bernsey from Gopher Illustrated will be here at about 10 o'clock. Defense. Danny Collins is the new defensive coordinator. You know, we haven't played a game yet, but nevertheless, what you've seen, what style of defense do you think he wants to run?
Yeah, I think similar to what we've seen the entire P.J. Fleck era, with a few caveats. That entire defense, the whole time PJ's been here, is kind of an offshoot of the Greg Schiano-Rutgers family tree. Joe Rossi came from that family tree. The first defensive coordinator here, Rob Smith, came from that family tree. Corey Heatherman, who took the spot for 1 year last year, came straight from the Rutgers staff over here. And Danny Collins has learned, he didn't have any time at Rutgers, but he's been with PJ all 13 years now. He was a guy that was sleeping in the closet because he was like a paid or an unpaid volunteer early on when he was just wanting to be a football coach.
Oh, that's right. He was on the 9 to noon show at that high school, the conference. But yeah, that's right.
So he's got some, he's been through it. So this is finally the reward at the end. And I can tell he has, everything he does is 110%. Like, he is a million miles an hour all the time. And so now he's got his shot. I think in his mind, and I was a little surprised when PJ didn't elevate him the first time, because PJ had always talked about what a rising star he was. But he brought Heatherman in from Rutgers, and Guardsy had Danny Collins on not long after all of that, and he said he was a little disappointed, but he understood, and he said as it turned out, it was great because now he can pull in some of what Corey Heatherman brought to the program, because there were a few different wrinkles. And so he's got all these guys that he's worked for over the years that he's put together, and he's named the defense in P.J. Fleck-like fashion the Havoc defense. Everything's got a label or an acronym or a name, of course, and each letter does stand for something. I forget what. The only thing I remember is the V stands for violence. So it's Havoc defense, and so I think it'll be.
There's got to be a how in there
somewhere.
Right?
There's got to be.
Well, the K has to be force him to kick.
Yeah. Exactly. I think it's a C.
Okay, 3-2. Yeah, a junior college, 5 years, as you just learned.
Well, maybe, but it doesn't mean you have to spell it with a C. Maybe it is a K. It's it's an acronym.
Yeah,
but
it's more phonetic than it is.
Exactly. But anyway, I think you'll see a lot of the same. And this defense has been good over PJ's time. Last year, top 5 in fewest points and fewest yards allowed, top 5 in the country.
Yeah.
So
that's what happens when you chew the clock. That's why you chew the clock.
It's part of the plan, no doubt. So I like it. I think Danny's the right guy. This is the right time for him. He's excited. He's been waiting. You just see guys. Sometimes you wait your whole life, and then when you get the chance, you think you've arrived, right? And then you think, oh, well, it's easy street from here. That's not the case with this guy. He's gotten his chance, and he is running with it. And I'm excited to see. Now, he's called defensive plays some. He did a bowl game a couple years ago. Obviously, during scrimmages and different things, PJ gives him a chance. The spring game. So that's probably the one thing. You're not going to be A1 right off the bat, right? You got 8 seconds to decide what's the personnel, what defense I'm going to call, get that into the... And so that part of it is going to be new to him.
Yeah.
But I think he can handle it. I'm excited about it.
9 to noon, Paul Allen, producer Nordo, Nordoh. Take it away.
He's going to have some people up front, swan song for the Devin Eastern type, right? The Jalen Logan Redding. I'm still trying to familiarize myself specifically in the secondary maybe with some of the new names, but Anthony Smith in the mix. I know those 3 in particular, massive part of the story with this defense, and Danny Collins is calling.
Yeah, Coy Parrish is like the headliner defensively, no doubt, but Anthony Smith is the guy. If he has the year that we're all hoping he has, he could be a first or second round pick in the NFL draft. He's got speed, he's got size. He had a great last 6 or 8 games last year where he really came into his own, helped control that Penn State game. He had a big sack in that game, and the Gophers stuck with the national semifinalists last year, at Huntington Bank Stadium, and really had a chance to win that game. But Smith had a big game there, so he's going to be a factor. It's going to sound weird because Devin Eastern, I think he's a 5th-year senior, so he's out of eligibility. He's been around. This will be his 3rd year starting. And he's been solid. So for me to say I'm that this could be a breakout year for him. That sounds like I'm suggesting he wasn't any good, and that's not what I mean. I think, though, this is the year he takes that game to the next level.
Okay.
Like, what he's been up to this point is a good, solid Big Ten defensive tackle. And when you think about that, what's a defensive tackle going to do? So he had like 28 tackles for the whole year last year, but that's normal.
Yeah.
His job is to take up 2 offensive linemen, and then when the ball's handed off, Maverick Baranowski and Cody Lindenberg and those guys come in and make the tackle. So I always say he helped Cody Lindenberg become first-team All-Big Ten last year with his almost 100 tackles because he was able to take up a couple of blockers, and then when the running back tries to find the hole,
there is no
that
hole.
blocker's not there to get the linebacker. And he did a nice job run stuffing. I think he can take one more step. I do. I think he can maybe have a bigger factor in the pass rush, become a little bit more disruptive. He's been a really good player, but I think this is the year we can see greatness from him. And just the maturity level. And this is one of the fun things, PA, you probably have at the NFL too. College level, maybe for me even more, where you see a kid come in as a freshman and then becomes a sophomore, and then you see this maturity level. And really, I mean, literally, you go from, a boy to a man. I mean, that's an old cliche, but in this case, you're 18.
Yeah.
The different think about that when you're 18 compared to when you're 23. That's that's 5. That's half a decade.
Well, that's part of it too. Is now that's like they come in at 18, and sometimes with 6 or 7 years.
Parker Fox is 37.
It's unbelievable how much he's grown.
So to land the plane here with Mike Grimm, play-by-play voice for the Golden Gophers. 7:00 tonight, KFAN, Gophers in Buffalo. The third game, the first road game, is at Cal. Have you ever called a game from Berkeley?
I have not. My first 5 years here, I did pregame and postgame. And the very first game or second game was at Cal, but I was in studio. I was the Tanner Hoops, Justin Guard of the operation. So, No, to answer the question, I have not been out there. I'm looking forward to it.
What would you qualify as the coolest road trip or potentially or game this season? You have at Berkeley. You're at Eugene for the Ducks.
Yep.
You're at Wrigley Field November 22nd to take on Northwestern.
Yeah. So I was talking about this with Bernsey as well on the podcast last week. The road trips, to me, this is the best. So this is my 20th year here starting. This is the best group of road games because almost always now everyone has 7 home games, 5 road games. You get 5 road trips. And recently, this Gopher outfit has brought fans, like at Colorado a few years ago, at North Carolina, thousands of Gopher fans. And so people, it seems, are starting to say, hey, what's the road trip everyone's going to go to this year? And it's been pretty easy to determine which one you want to go to in the last 4 or 5 years when this kind of surge has happened. This year, like all those games are like Berkeley. That's a cool place to go visit, right?
Yes, I've watched a game there when I called races in Northern California.
Yeah,
and if you get way up high, generally where press boxes are for college football, I think you would be looking south, maybe southwest. You'll see the San Mateo Bay, you'll see Alcatraz, and you'll see the city, and then you'll see the Golden Gate Bridge to the right. It's spectacular.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I think that'll win.
I've never done a game at Eugene. That'll be the final of the 18 Big Ten schools. I've been to all the stadiums, not that one. I not called a game at Washington. I've attended a game at Washington. That'd be a great trip. That's a Friday night game, by the way, at Washington or at Oregon in November. And then you got Iowa. That's always a great game because you can drive it. You can win a pig. That's fun. And then Ohio State's the other one. I mean, the Horseshoe is, I mean, that's a tough place to win, but that's a cool place to watch a game. One of the, traditional great, cathedrals of college football. Anything that has you can identify it by nickname, the Horseshoe, it's a big deal. And then as you mentioned, Wrigley Field. This will be the third time I've called a football game from a baseball field.
Yeah, don't tell me. Yankee Stadium, Wrigley Field, and Fenway?
No. You want to guess one more? It was a bowl game.
Let's go with Dodger Stadium.
No.
What?
No. Chase Field, Arizona.
Oh, wow, that's
Gophers
right.
beat West Virginia down there and I forget some mortgage company bowl game. And it sucks to call a game from a baseball field because you're in the end zone.
Right.
Literally, the Yankee. I sat in John Sterling's seat, which was kind of cool.
Oh, wow.
We were in the Yankee booth.
Well, you got the live all 22.
That's what we did. We did it off of TV.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell if it's an 8-yard gain or a 16-yard gain from that angle.
That's tough.
So I'm excited about Wrigley. I love Wrigleyville. I grew up a Cardinals fan.
Yeah.
So I hate the Cubs. but I love Wrigley, so I'm excited about going to that.
Well, fire a bullet tonight.
Yes, sir.
We'll
Yes,
be
sir.
listening, and best of luck with the season.
Yeah.
Okay?
Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Mike Grimm, play-by-play voice for your Golden Gopher football team. 7 o'clock tonight, Ski-U-Mah State Fair, Ski-U-Mah. It's the Golden Gophers and Buffalo to kick off the 2025 season. When we return, the Minnesota Timberwolves are about a month and a day from training camp beginning, and their general manager, Matt Lloyd, will join us here at the State Fair. You're listening.
Life moves fast. A new home, a new baby, a new chapter. But without an estate plan, your future's still vulnerable. With Trust and Will, you can name guardians, start a trust, create healthcare directives, and more. All online in about an hour. It's attorney-designed, state-specific, and built to protect what you love. Plans start at just $199, and every plan is safe, secure, and kept completely private. From families with young kids to adults caring for aging parents, Trust and Will makes it simple to take control, without a law office, paperwork stress, or court delays. Go to trustandwill.com and use code RADIO to save 20%. Start your plan today. Don't wait for life to force your hand. Estate planning is one of the smartest, most loving things you can do. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. See website for details.
Trust and Will.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Anyone else feeling hungry? Because Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You could stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, mozzarella sticks and marinara, or brew pub pretzels with white cheddar beer cheese. Or you could spice things up and try some unexpected combinations like dipping chicken wonton tacos in their honey Dijon mustard. The choice is yours. The Ultimate Trio is the perfect way to hit all your cravings in one plate and turn appetizers into an entree. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. That's eating good in the neighborhood.
Talk about stepping up.
It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
In the heat of battle, your squad relies on you. Don't let them down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Dominate every match with next-level speed, seamless streaming, and performance that won't quit. And push your gameplay beyond limits with Intel Core Ultra processors. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel Inside. Maximize your edge by shopping at Lenovo.com during their back-to-school sale. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
To 9 to noon. Matt Lloyd is general manager for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Round of applause for our next guest, Mr. Matt Lloyd. And Team Howell, which begins training camp about a month from now, off a second consecutive Western Conference Finals berth. And Matt is into his 4th season with the Timberwolves. And as general manager, that's a relatively recent development, right?
Yeah, that was last year.
Mm-hmm.
I've known Tim Connelly for about 25 years.
Yeah.
We actually sat together at a DePaul game as junior scouts in 2004, 2005. So our relationship had grown over the years. When he got the job here, I was in Orlando as the assistant GM. He asked me to come. One thing led to another, and last year I was promoted to GM. So
and you mentioned DePaul. and Quick Twitch, did Rod Strickland play there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the Quick Twitch was good.
Yep.
There are school names that come up, like DePaul, or other schools. UCLA's been decent of late, but I mean, we can go through Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and just all the players over the years where, it for whatever the reason, it has fallen off a little bit, but like DePaul, with who was the coach?
The coach now is Chris...
who was the all-time MVP?
Oh, Joey Meyer and Ray Meyer.
Yeah, Ray.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
But like DePaul, nobody ever hears anything about DePaul anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
NIL and transfer portal and stuff like that starting to compartmentalize things, don't you think?
A little bit. I think the whole landscape in college basketball just. When we put it towards scouting perspective, it actually could end up being a good thing. And
really?
TJ Shannon's a good example of this. So TJ Shannon stays for his senior year at Illinois because he had some sort of NIL deal that made it worth him staying there.
Right.
He didn't come out early. He didn't go in the second round of the draft. He wasn't subject to all that. So I think college basketball, it's going to end up being a good thing for the NBA that these guys stay longer, they could develop more, and they're more ready when they come to play.
So just over the course of time, and I think the cherry picking examples of the second round of the NBA draft would be Tony Parker either went end of 1, beginning of 2.
Yep, end of the first round.
Manu Ginobili, Pop finds him under a rock in Argentina. He's a second round kind of guy.
Yep.
The point being, and those players are immortality. The point being here is that not a lot of second rounders hit and stick over the course of time in the NBA. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's it's part of these the contract commitment they're given coming out into the first rounders get basically 4 years to figure it out. And the NBA moves very quickly. And when you're drafted in the second round, you're not really have a guaranteed contract. You have to perform and show kind of upward mobility and upward trajectory quickly.
Yeah.
And sometimes the NBA, it just doesn't wait. We're in a really good position right now, with the Timberwolves where we have a layer of young players. I'll just use Jalen Clark as an example.
Yeah.
He went late in the second round. I think it was the 46th pick. Maybe it was 52 in the 50s. He was in the 50s. We drafted him coming off of an Achilles tear. And so he sat his whole rookie year.
Right.
Last year, he started the season. He played about 20 games in the G League, and then we saw the impact he made late in the season because he was prepared. And
so did Devin Booker.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
remember that Phoenix game? Where he locked down Booker, and then Durant ends the game kind of like, don't put this guy on me again. Are you kidding me? He's like nonstop.
Yeah, he's kind of a relentless guy. So we take him in the second round, and we had the patience to develop him a little bit. Our expectations for him with Nickeil Alexander-Walker leaving, he and TJ Shannon will step into those minutes in that role.
Yeah.
We're anticipating big leaps from them. But the second round is kind of the scouts' delight in the second round. And Tim and I both grew up as scouts. And he's basically, I've worked with a lot of great talent evaluators. He's the best I've ever seen because he can synthesize this volume and reams of data, and usually he's right when he makes an assessment of a player.
So he's the president of basketball operations.
He is. Yep.
Okay. So as general manager, how does your role differ from his?
I act in complete and total support of him constantly. So we complement each other pretty well because I have OCD for details, and he has big vision, and he's 30,000 feet in the air, and he's looking down, and
that's great.
So we met like 20 years ago, and our relationship grew because we were kind of kindred spirits in many ways. We have the same sense of humor. We enjoy the same things, and he's more like a kind of a brother or a close cousin, and it happens to be my boss.
Yeah.
So when decisions are made, it's generally a small group of us that are making the final decisions, but we take input from a lot of people in the basketball operations staff. We're really lucky to have a really diverse and wide-ranging staff.
So in what ways do you two inspire and or push each other? Because we can look at it like, all right, Tim's surrogate uncle and I'm surrogate nephew, and those are our job titles. Yep. And when I'm details guy and he's overarching guy, we get that. But there have to be times where, you're like, let's think about this a little more, Tim. I mean, you just banged your fist down on the Formica. I'd like to present this. That's important, isn't it?
Yeah, I think our relationship is such that we can have those conversations, and we know at the end of the day that when we make the decision together, we walk out the door, the whole group walks out the door, and and we're supporting the decision that is made. So it applies to the draft, it applies to free agency, it applies to working with the players. He's also the best I've ever seen at messaging the players. Part of the reason that we've had success these 3 seasons that we've been here, heading into our 4th, is his ability to message the players. And he and Anthony have such a great relationship because he just is constantly infusing the players with positive energy. He's just like every day he walks in is a good day. And even when we made the Gobert trade our first year here, we kind of stumble, we get off to a slower start. We always had the expectation that it was going to turn around because we were pretty committed and convicted in what we had done to enhance the team. So you apply that last year to 2 days before training camp, we make a giant trade. I don't know if anyone saw that trade we made, but it was, we got Julius Randle and DiVincenzo 2 days before training camp. And then you have to give Coach Finch a ton of credit for integrating all those guys and it yielding the Western Conference Finals second straight year.
But correct me if I'm wrong here, Matt Lloyd, general manager for the Timberwolves, there was serendipity with it. And the positive transpiring from the negative was that Saturday at home against the Wizards when Julius Randle, whatever happened, messes up his groin. And then he's out for like a month.
Yep.
And then Leah B. Olson is interviewing him after his first game back. And he's like, you know what? I mean, I'm watching film with all these guys. We know each other. I know what to do and they know what to expect from me. But until I stepped back and kind of like watched truly how they want to do it, I didn't really appreciate some facets. So in other words, it was seeing the forest for the trees. And I thought that was very, very intelligent, very eye-opening. But from that time he came back on, it was a different group.
Yeah, so we went 35-10 our last 45 games, including the playoffs. And we were at a point where the season had kind of we started 8-10.
Yeah.
I think it was hard to integrate everyone. Again, no training camp for all intents and purposes, no planning for the coaches, all intents and purposes. But big shout out to Julius Randle. Julius Randle infused us with an element that we had lacked the previous season going against the Dallas Mavericks, was another shot creator off the dribble. He's one of the best forwards in the league at
ball handling
and kicking out for 3-point shooting. So our 3-point volume significantly went up. Our percentages significantly went up last year, partly because he was there and he was there kind of setting people up. So his ability, he missed those, 20 games, 15 to 20 games, and he did. He got a chance to learn. He's an intensely hard worker. And he got to almost recalibrate, reboot his take on the game, So we went into the playoffs, and you may remember better than me, but I think ESPN was unanimously picked the Lakers to beat us in the first round.
Correct.
And we went 4-1.
Yeah, that was foolish.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was uninformed.
Right. Yeah, right, for sure. Because, I mean, it's uninformed in that, and I'm not going to, do Wolves fan line from bouncing the Lakers from the playoffs, but I mean, the lack of depth, the Jackson Hayes piece, the whole thing.
We had gone 16-4 to close out the regular season, so, I mean.
Well, Julius Randle, and I know that there was a benefactor in his life at the end of his high school run. Somebody who might even have, invested in him. Hey, I'm going to help you here. We're going to get to Kentucky, and we're going to have a handshake deal. Might even have been a family member. But he doesn't come from much. Jimmy Butler doesn't come from much. Yep. I love players like that. Now, Jimmy, Jimmy has let the pomp and circumstance to a certain degree go to his head over the years, but he's still one of my all-time favorite players. But those players that come from nothing and they earn their way to junior college and then, hey, Marquette wants me. And then they get into the NBA and they know they belong and they know they can shut you down and the confidence takes off. Yep. The NBA is so full of a ton of those stories, right?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony, that applies to Anthony to a degree too. Anthony, I saw Anthony as a sophomore in high school or junior in high school at the Steph Curry camp. He looked like a prospect, and he went to Georgia. He looked like a prospect. It was in Maui his freshman year. He scored 37 points in the second half against Michigan State. I called my boss. I was at the Magic at the time. I was like, "Yeah, you need to see this guy."
Yeah.
It was incredible. We ended up with the 6th pick in the draft, but
who'd you take?
Oh, geez.
That wasn't Banchero, was it?
Maybe we trade. No, it wasn't Banchero. We might have traded back. I don't remember.
That's Cole Anthony. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
But it might have been Cole, actually.
Wow.
We had 16, I think. So anyway, so I think the element that you just described, and then the element also quick learners. Anthony is a quick learner. you could show him something, he gets it, he absorbs it, he applies it. Julius Randle's a quick learner. Jimmy Butler, I was there in Chicago when we drafted him third overall. And no one in the room at the time, we were very high on him. No one at the room at the time thought he would become what he became. We were hopeful.
Wow.
But we were competing with the Miami Heat at the time, and we needed another wing to play against Wade and LeBron.
Tibbs was the coach?
The coach, his rookie. Yeah, Tom was the coach.
Yeah.
Yep, Tom was the coach. And so to see him evolve and grow is partly because he, the elements that you said, and partly because he's a really, really quick learner. And they're all three of them, just using the example, the three of them, they're all incredibly hard workers. Anthony looks like a superhero right now. I don't know if Coach Finch had mentioned it when he was here, but he's 3% body fat right now. He's taken 3,600 shots since July 1 in the facility. The only other player that has taken more in the facility since July 1st is TJ Shannon. So
wow.
Anthony's been here all summer.
Yeah.
Life there's no guarantees in life, but I can guarantee that guy's going to have a great season next year.
Well, I mean, he should be one of the 5 best players in the NBA.
Absolutely.
Maybe one of the 3 best. I mean, he's like, as Jason Tatum gets older, Anthony, I mean, they kind of play the same a little bit.
Correct.
With that off the dribble game and stuff, and Anthony's left has gotten a lot better. Jason's left is unstoppable. But, I mean, I think it's, Chris was here earlier in the week and we talked about it a little bit, but I do think it's fair to, Matt, to put into that equation that Anthony has to calm down with the complaints.
Yep.
And the NBA better than anybody, man. It can go back to Earl Strom, Dick Bavetta, Ken Mauer, whomever. Is if you get on the wrong side of those guys, they talk to each other, they're going to make you work your way out of it. We saw it here with Karl Anthony Towns. The work Chris did with Karl Anthony Towns to get him to calm down and stop every single time, it made a difference.
Yeah.
And I think, as much as left-handed dribble, step back 3, get to the line more, all of that will take place because of the way God gifted him. But the part I'm talking about now is every bit as much an A topic with him, don't you think?
Yeah, I think what the best thing about Anthony Edwards in my observations in the last 3 seasons is that he always adds an element to his game over the course of the offseason. And the previous 2 off seasons, he was USA Basketball, he was traveling, he was in, everywhere. And this off season, he's had the chance to rest, to get ready, and my assumption is that he's aware of that, and that is another element that he can add to his game because he's maturing. He's maturing.
Well, that Utah game he missed has to still probably eat him up. I mean, you guys lose by 1. You needed it like you needed to breathe.
Yep.
As we look back at it, so yeah, I mean, he's talked about it, and you can tell that he is a self-aware individual.
Very.
A couple of quickies to close here. In your role, how forward-thinking do you have to be with not only rookies or draft picks, but free agency?
Yep.
Like how far down the road are you on 2026?
Yeah, I think the one of the things I've learned over the years is that the NBA is so fluid, so ever-changing, so dynamic in strategy. We have to strategize for the future, and we also have to take into account that we don't know what's going to happen to 5 other teams around us.
Right.
So we'll have to readjust that planning going forward. We went into the offseason with 3 pending free agents, all of whom were incredibly important to the team.
Yep.
And so our planning over the course of the season had to take into account we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know but we want what's best for them. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was an incredible trade acquisition as part of the Mike Conley trade when we traded for him.
Yeah.
And he rebooted his career over the last 2 seasons into what he's become now. He deserved to get that money in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So we wish him well. He was an incredible opponent, but again, TJ Shannon and Jalen Clark are ready to step into those minutes in the play. So the planning has to be detailed and thoughtful and thought through. But also have to be willing to adjust going forward based on what happens around us.
With Shannon Jr., the rookie last year, or was he second year?
He was a rookie.
Yeah, he was a rookie. Clark was second year. But with Shannon Jr. and with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, in the Oklahoma City series, when things were going pear-shaped and heads were spinning and the metaphorical 2x4s were banging you upside the head, those guys never stopped. I mean, they weren't afraid. And when Shannon Jr. came into the game, he was, I think I described him as like a rolling ball of butcher knives, no matter what the situation was, right?
Yep. And to his credit, he was ready. He didn't have to get ready. He was ready because he was one of the best teammates as a rookie I've ever seen. And that applies to Dillingham, too. Dillingham played, I looked this up specifically yesterday, just anticipating this type of question. Rob Dillingham played 57 minutes in 3 games against Oklahoma City in the regular season last year. There was 3 best games of the year.
Yep.
He may have an element that they have difficulty corralling, his speed and his change of direction. TJ Shannon is an adult. He's 25 years old. He stayed in college for 5 seasons, and he's prepared to put forth all the work he's put in this offseason. We're going to see the result of that in the regular season next
year. We could do this for an hour. So we probably should say goodbye because I know you have obligations coming up. Lastly, you mentioned Dillingham with Clark. And his defensive prowess, specifically his perimeter defense, just locking you down with that big, strong upper body. Is it fair to say clearly the offense needs to come next? Just the comfortability of fitting in with the offense. Is that fair?
That's for Jalen?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jalen.
I mean, we don't need 20 and 10. But Just fitting in.
We need to be a threat on offense so you don't get played off of. And I liken him to, maybe you'll remember him, kind of old school NBA fans will remember him, but he reminds me of Tony Allen to a degree, where he's just such a huge force on offense. He can be a slight negative he's such a huge force on defense.
Yeah.
He can be a slight negative on offense, but we'll need to close that gap this season.
Yeah.
His 3-point shooting's improved. He's always going to be someone that can attack off of 2 dribbles. He's a timely and instinctive cutter. He's like one of the best cutters on our team, and that works when he's on the floor with Julius and on the floor with passers. They can find him cutting.
Yeah.
So integrating him in the offense is going to be.
Can he shoot threes?
He can.
Okay, because I'm thinking Rajah Bell or maybe
that's
Bruce
a great
Bowen.
Name. Those are 2 great names.
But they would lock you down, and that was the identity. But then they got good with the 3 game,
Correct.
And now they were 2-way.
Yeah, he's better in the corners right now than he is at the top above the break. But I think that's a part of his game that's evolving as well. So. The players have all been in the gym all summer. We get regular updates from the player development group, and some of the results that we've seen internally are really encouraging, especially from the shooting aspect and from the conditioning aspect. So, we're optimistic. We're looking forward to the regular season.
That was fantastic. It's a pleasure meeting you, Matt. And,
thank you so much.
I'm sure I'll see you at a bunch of games this year, but best of luck, all right?
Really, thanks so much.
Matt Lloyd, General Manager for the Howl, the Minnesota Timberwolves training camp in a month. Golden Gophers play tonight at 7. It's the season opener. More on that around the corner on KFAN.
The day begins at the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club at Boston Logan Airport. You get the clam chowder. In San Diego, it's tostadas. New York, espresso martini. It's 10 a.m. Why not? It's the quiet before your next flight, the shower that resets your day, the menu that lets you know where you are. This is access to over 1,300 airport lounges and every Sapphire Lounge by the club. And one card that gets you in. Chase Sapphire Reserve, the most rewarding card.
Learn more at chase.com/Sapphire Reserve. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC, subject to credit approval.
Fox One is now live. It's the new way to stream all your Fox favorites all in one place. That means NFL Sundays and college football games, breaking news with the Fox voices you trust, and your favorite shows streamed as they happen so nothing gets spoiled. With Fox One, you get it all live. Edge-of-your-seat plays, jaw-dropping moments, and that feeling like you're right there in the action. Start your 7-day trial today. Offers are subject to change. Go to Fox One for complete terms and conditions. Fox One, we live for live. Streaming now.
Come on. Why is this taking so long? This thing is ancient.
Still using yesterday's tech? Upgrade to the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. Ultra-light, ultra-powerful, and built for serious productivity with Intel Core Ultra processors, blazing speed, and AI-powered performance that keeps up with your business, not the other way around.
Whoa, this thing moves.
Stop hitting snooze on new tech. Win the tech search at Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Unlock AI experiences with the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, so you can work, create, and boost productivity all on one device.
This is Rob Gronkowski from Dudes on Dudes. Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You can stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, or you can spice things up and try some unexpected pairings like dipping chicken wonton tacos in our honey Dijon mustard. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.